Prosecutors spent 4 weeks painting Murdaugh as a liar who decided to kill his wife and son to cover up financial crimes and challenges that would soon be revealed. So what does that leave us now, heading into day 2 of his testimony? Let's bring in Jesse Weber, attorney and anchor for the Law and Crime Network, to discuss what Murdaugh said when his lawyer questioned him. Good morning, and thanks for joining us again.
Good morning, Mitch. Good to see you.
Now let's start with this first day of his cross-examination. He admitted to a lot of lies up there, said he knew the whereabouts of his wife and son, but said, hey, I'm not lying about this. I didn't kill my wife and my son. What do you make of, it's almost an affirmative defense for his financial crimes, even though he is denying killing his wife and son?
Well, he basically just walked himself into jail on all of those financial crimes. It's an interesting strategy. I'm going to admit to all of the illegal stuff I've done, but the one thing I can tell you I'm telling the truth about is I did not kill my family. Look, this was a direct appeal to the jurors' emotions. You put aside all the evidence. You put aside the witness testimony. I'm telling you the truth about it. And he got very emotional. I've covered a number of different cases. I would say he seemed more credible and genuine than I've seen other defendants on the stand who try to elicit tears. That may give the jury pause. The one issue that we all have is, if he can lie to investigators, if he can lie to family, friends, clients, his law firm, why should the jury believe that he is telling them the truth now? That is something that has already been explored by Creighton Waters, the prosecutors in cross-examination. That's the biggest problem for Alec Murdaugh, because if he didn't lie at the beginning, maybe we would have had a different case right now.
Well, and he said that, hey, I lied because I was in a paranoid state of mind because of my drug use. He said he's been clean for 535 days as of yesterday, and that would put his sobriety date at September 7th of 2021, which is exactly 3 months to the day since the murder. So do you think it rings true with the jury that he says, well, I was lying because I was using drugs, but I'm clean now. Now I'm telling the truth?
So, Mitch, I've said this before. I think the jury is going to be a hung jury. I think that there's people who are going to pause about that. But here's the way to look at that. Couldn't the prosecution just easily say, if you were so paranoid and you thought everyone was out to get you, how paranoid were you on the night of the murders? Did you think that Maggie and Paul were out to get you? And by the way, all the money that you stole, you say it was all for your drugs, but that's not entirely true. What we were hearing under cross-examination is that that money was also used for personal use. So it becomes a question of how much can you blame the opioids? And I will tell you what I imagine the defense will do is call an opioid expert, a drug expert, to talk about the effect it can have on people and create irrational thoughts. And look, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the jury to decide if that's credible. This was a variable that changed really everything, him taking the stand.
Well, and you are the second legal expert today to tell me that you believe this will end in a hung jury. Can you explain to our audience who might not be familiar with it what that means and what the result of that would be?
Sure. So you have 12 jurors. They have to be unanimous, either guilty or not guilty. I've talked to 15 people about this case in the last 24 hours, and everybody has a different perspective on it. Trying to all agree about whether or not Alec Murdaugh brutally murdered his family. There are weaknesses in the prosecution's case, yet there are some really important nuggets. The jury's going to wrestle over it, and if they can't come to a decision, it is a hung jury. It is a mistrial. Now, they'll be instructed to go back, keep deliberating, but if they cannot come to a consensus, this trial is over, and the prosecutors will have to decide whether to go forward with another trial down the road.
Yeah, and then you have to have another trial. He might be on the stand again. He might face these questions again in front of a different jury. It just would be an extraordinary circumstance, but it's one that's very possible. Jesse Weber, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.